You love honey. You use it in your tea, on your toast, as a natural sweetener. It's one of nature's perfect foods, a golden elixir, a symbol of purity and health. But what if I told you that the jar of honey sitting in your pantry right now is a lie? What if the sweet, golden liquid you trust is nothing more than a cheap chemical cocktail? For years, a massive, multi-billion-dollar fraud has been taking place right under your nose. The honey industry has been corrupted by what the FDA calls honey laundering, a global scam where cheap, often toxic, syrups are mixed with trace amounts of real honey, filtered to remove all evidence, and then sold to you as the real deal. You're paying a premium for sugar water. Today, we're going to name the 15 fake honey brands you must avoid at all costs. Brands found in nearly every major supermarket across the country. We will expose the dark science behind this food fraud, reveal the health risks you're taking, and, most importantly, give you the 4 simple, at-home tests you can use to spot real honey every single time. Stay with us, because the truth about your honey is about to get sticky. Let's start with the motive: pure, unadulterated profit. Real honey is expensive to produce. It requires healthy bees, clean forage, and time. Fake honey, however, can be manufactured in a factory for pennies on the dollar. The name of the game is maximizing profit by replacing the most expensive ingredient, the honey itself, with the cheapest possible fillers, primarily rice syrup and corn syrup. This is not just a few bad apples. It's a systemic problem. The global honey market is so saturated with fake product that it's often cheaper to buy a jar of honey than it is to buy a bottle of soda. This economic reality should be your first red flag. When the price is too good to be true, it's because you're not buying honey, you're buying a lie. How do they get away with it? The key is a process called ultrafiltration. Real, raw honey contains pollen, tiny microscopic particles that are the bee's fingerprint, proving its origin and authenticity. When investigators test honey, they look for this pollen. Ultrafiltration is a high-pressure, high-heat process that strips the honey of all its pollen, removing the only evidence that can trace the honey back to its source. This is the ultimate corporate sleight of hand. By removing the pollen, they can hide the fact that the honey was sourced from questionable origins, or worse, that it was heavily diluted with cheap syrups. The result is a crystal clear, uniform, and visually appealing product that has been chemically sterilized and nutritionally gutted. It's a product designed to look perfect on the shelf, but it's fundamentally fraudulent. Let's look closer at the main culprits: high fructose corn syrup and rice syrup. These are the go-to fillers because they are cheap and chemically mimic the sugar profile of real honey. However, they lack the essential enzymes, amino acids, and antioxidants that make honey a superfood. Rice syrup, in particular, has become a major concern. It is often imported from countries with lax food safety standards and has been found to contain trace amounts of heavy metals, including lead. You're not just consuming empty calories. You are potentially exposing yourself to harmful contaminants that would never be found in pure, natural honey. The rich, complex flavor of real honey comes from the nectar of specific flowers. The bland, one-note sweetness of fake honey comes from a factory. The difference is not just in taste. It's in the entire nutritional profile. When you buy fake honey, you're being robbed of the health benefits you thought you were paying for. The damage doesn't stop at your wallet. The real cost is your health. Pure honey is a natural source of antioxidants, has antibacterial properties, and contains trace minerals. Fake honey, being mostly simple sugar syrup, spikes your blood sugar and contributes to the very health issues you are trying to avoid. Furthermore, the lack of regulation in the sourcing of these cheap syrups means you are exposed to unknown chemicals and contaminants. The FDA has warned about the dangers of undeclared antibiotics and pesticides found in some imported, adulterated honey. This is a profound betrayal of trust, where corporations are prioritizing profit over the health of their consumers. Let's get into the names. These are the brands that have been repeatedly flagged by independent food safety labs and organizations like Food Safety News for failing to meet the basic standards of pure honey. Brand number 1, Great Value, Walmart. This is a massive seller. and its low price point is a huge red flag. Multiple tests have shown that much of their honey is ultra-filtered and contains little to no pollen. Brand number 2, Manuka Honey, Trader Joe's. This is a particularly egregious example. Real Manuka honey is a highly prized, expensive product from New Zealand. The Trader Joe's version has been scrutinized for not containing the necessary Manuka pollen markers, suggesting it is either heavily diluted or completely mislabeled. Brand number 3, Good and Gather, Target. Another major store brand that relies on the same global supply chains that are notorious for honey laundering. When you buy a store brand, you're often buying the cheapest possible product, and in the honey world, that means fake. Brand number 4, Nice, Walgreens, and brand number 5, Berry Hill, Aldi. These pharmacy and discount store brands are often the worst offenders. Moving on to the next 5. Brand number 6, Publix, and brand number 7, Signature Select, Safeway / Albertsons. Again, these major supermarket chains are selling products that have been flagged for being ultra-filtered and lacking the necessary markers of authenticity. Brand number 8, Kroger Honey, and brand number 9, Whole Foods 365 Organic Honey. Even brands that market themselves as organic or premium are not immune. The 365 Organic brand, in particular, has faced criticism for its sourcing and processing methods that strip the honey of its natural integrity. Brand number 10, Subi Honey, Sioux Honey Association. This is one of the most recognizable names in the U.S. While they claim to be a co-op of American beekeepers, their product has been repeatedly cited for ultrafiltration. The final 5 brands on our list. Brand number 11, Nature Nate's Honey. This brand is often marketed as pure, but has also been caught up in the ultrafiltration controversy. The industry's definition of pure is often misleading. Brand number 12, Smucker's, and brand number 13, Members Mark, Sam's Club. These are massive industrial-scale producers and distributors. Their sheer volume demands a global supply chain that is ripe for fraud and adulteration. Brand number 14, H-E-B, and brand number 15, Pharmacy Honey, Rite Aid, CVS. The final 2 are more regional and generic brands, but they represent the widespread nature of this problem. If the honey is cheap, clear, and sold in a massive volume, you should be skeptical. Now for the solution. How you fight back? You become a label detective. The first thing to look for is the term raw and unfiltered. This is crucial. Raw means it hasn't been heated above 115 degrees Fahrenheit, preserving the beneficial enzymes and nutrients. Unfiltered means the pollen is still intact, proving its authenticity. These terms are often a thin veil for the processing that removes the evidence of fraud. Also, look for a specific floral source like clover honey or buckwheat honey, which indicates a higher quality product. Next, look for reputable certifications. TrueSource Certified is a voluntary program that uses third-party auditors to verify the source of the honey. USDA Organic is good, but remember, it only certifies the farming practices, not the purity. You don't need a lab to test your honey. The first test is the cold water test. Take a spoonful of honey and drop it into a glass of room temperature water without stirring. Fake honey, being mostly sugar syrup, will dissolve almost immediately, clouding the water. Real honey, due to its density and texture, will sink to the bottom and remain in a solid clump. The second test is the flame test, and it's a powerful one. This is a quick, definitive way to tell if your honey is mostly water. The third test is the paper towel test. Drop a few drops of honey onto a piece of paper towel. Pure honey is thick and will hold its shape, barely soaking through the paper. Finally, the refrigerator test. Place your jar of honey in the refrigerator for several hours to a few days. Real, pure honey will thicken and gradually crystallize, often starting from the bottom. Fake honey, being a simple sugar solution, will remain perfectly clear and syrupy, with no crystallization. By combining these 4 simple tests, sight, water, flame, and refrigerator, you can become your own food safety expert and ensure that the honey you are consuming is the real, beneficial product you deserve. Stop buying the 15 brands we named today. Start buying from local beekeepers or look for the raw and unfiltered label and the True Source certified seal. We've linked to a list of verified, pure honey brands and a detailed guide on the 4 at-home tests in the description below. Share this video with everyone you know. Choose the truth that protects your health.